Okay, hello math fans. Alright, today we are going to do more multiplication of polynomials, but this is actually called special products. Special products of polynomials. Okay, so let's just kind of start out with a real basic one. If I give you x plus 3 times x minus 3. Okay, so if you remember, we're going to do FOIL here. Right? First, outer, inner, and last. So before we even actually do it, I want you guys to notice it. I have an x here and an x there. So they're the same value there. I have a 3 and a negative 3. So these two values are opposite. And these two are the same. Okay, that's actually pretty important just to recognize that. All right. So if I multiply this out, I get x times x is x squared. So first, outer minus 3x, inner plus 3x, and last minus 9. And then you combine like terms. Well, what happens is this is negative 3x plus 3x is 0x, but don't write 0x. It cancels out. It's like saying 5 minus 5 is 0. Okay, you don't put an x if it's 5x minus 5x. You don't say 0x. It's 0. It's just gone. So that cancels. And you have x squared minus 9. Okay, so this thing that I just showed you here, where it's the same and it's the opposite, that is always going to give you something where these middle terms, basically the outside and the inside, cancel. Okay, that's always going to happen. So it's kind of nice. So let's try another example here. If I have x plus 7 times x minus 7. Alright, so again, I have the x is the same, and I have the 7 and the negative 7 are opposite. So x times x is x squared, minus 7x, plus 7x, minus 49. So these guys are going to cancel, and I get x squared minus 49. Okay, that's it. That's your answer. So it's actually pretty easy. So if you recognize that, you really have to do the first and the last term. Okay, only if it's like an opposite like that. All right, very, very important. Okay, so let's try a couple of them that have just a few more things in here. If I do 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 3. Well, again, I have this 2x is the same and the 3 and the negative 3 are opposite. So I really have to do the f and the L. All right, so first gives me 2x times 2x is 4x squared, and 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. That's your answer to that problem. That's pretty sweet. Okay, so let's try a couple more here. 9 minus 2x and 9 plus 2x. All right, now it doesn't matter that the x is second. It really doesn't matter as long as you have something that's the same, which is the 9, and you have something that's opposite, which is the 2x. All right, that's all you have to do is just one has to be the same, one has to be the opposite. So 9 times 9 is 81. Negative 2x times positive 2x, and it's always, if you notice, guys, here I didn't really highlight this too much. It's always a minus sign here because it's negative times a positive is negative. So minus 4x squared. And that's your answer. 81 minus 4x squared. All right. So let's try another one here. 3 minus 2x and 3 plus 2x. Okay, so we get 9 first, and the last gives us minus 4x squared. Sweet. Now, though I should have showed you the last example here, I always want your answer in descending order. Okay, so it's good to kind of bring this up here. You technically write this as negative 4x squared plus 9. I want to get you guys to start putting it in descending order as a final answer. All right, so 7 minus 8x, 7 plus 8x, opposites. So we get 49 minus 64x squared. Put it in descending order. Negative 64x squared plus 49. Okay, 5x minus 7 and 5x plus 7. That's 25x squared minus 49. That one's already in descending order. That one's perfect. Let's try one with two variables. No big deal. If I do 2x plus 3y, it'd be 2x, and of course this has to be minus 3y. The same kind of problem I'm doing, right? No big deal. 2x times 2x, 4x squared. Again, they're opposites, so I don't even have to do, I just have to do the first and the last. So 3y times negative 3y is negative 9y squared. That's it. All right. So that's pretty much it for these problems. But again, just to kind of remind you, right? It's the same term here, and it's the opposite term here. And what happens is you multiply the first and the last term together. This is always minus between them. Always, always, always. Okay. Of course, if you switch around, like we had those before, if it was like negative 49 plus x squared. Actually, here let's get rid of this. If it was 49 minus x squared, then you would flip it around like that, right, to put it in descending order. Okay, so that is one special case. Let's talk about this next one, which actually probably you will see on the ACT exam. If I give you a problem like this, x plus 5 squared. And what I want you to do is I want you to kind of look at this problem and say, well, what do we do now if it's squared? Well, just like when you distribute, I want to do one example. If I square both of these, if I say x squared and then 5 squared, right? That looks like it could be right? You guys agree with that? Well, let's plug a number in. Let's plug in x equals 3 and see what we get when we plug into here and to here. All right, so if I plug a 3 in here, I get 3 plus 5 squared. Well, isn't that the same thing as 8 squared, which is 64? Okay, so let's plug a 3 into here. 3 squared plus 25. 9 plus 25. What's 9 plus 25? 34. Wait a second. These are not equal. All right, so this is the deal. You can't just square each term. All right, this is such an important thing. You will see it this year, next year, Algebra 2, pre-calculus, even in trigonometry. It'll continue on here. This is the deal. If you have x plus 5, just like if I have, let me write this here. If I have x squared, don't you agree that I write it twice? Isn't x squared just really x times x? So if I have x squared plus 5, x plus 5 squared, is that the same thing as saying x plus 5 times x plus 5? Don't I want to write it twice? Okay, that's exactly what I want to do. You got to know that. You have to write it twice. I will say that so many times. If you have a squared on the outside, you have to write it twice. So what happens now if I do FOIL? This is not like the ones we had at the beginning of this lesson where it cancels, because it's the same term here and it's the same term here. It's not opposite. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to have to do FOIL. So first, x times x is x squared. Outer plus 5x. Inner plus 5x. And last plus 25. So what happens is these actually don't cancel. That's important. They don't cancel. So you combine like terms, we get x squared plus 10x plus 25. That's actually our answer right here. In fact, okay, I'm going to highlight this in red. That is so important. So that is the answer to this problem right here. Okay, that's what you need to do. So just that's huge. I'm going to write here, write it twice, then FOIL. Okay, very important. Write it twice, then FOIL. Now, just to prove it, I want to show you guys that it actually is the same thing, right? Because remember how we did this little sample here, and you got 64, and then this one was 34? Well, what happens if I plug in that, just to check it out, if I plug that 3 into here now? Let's do that. 3 squared plus 10 times 3 plus 25. So 3 squared is 9 plus 30 plus 25. So that's 39, and 39 plus 25 is 64, which is exactly what we got here. So these are the same in red, and you try, that's your answer, okay? But don't square the x and square the 5. That's really, really bad. Okay, that's just such bad math to do that. All right, so let's actually do another problem here, and you'll always recognize what to do because it'll be, you know, x minus 7 squared. It's always in that form. It's always something in there, 2 terms, and it can be plus or minus, doesn't matter, and it's squared. And then you know, write it twice, then FOIL. Very sloppy. Write it twice, okay? So here it is, x minus 7, x minus 7, I wrote twice, 9 FOIL, x squared minus 7x, that's outside, first outer minus 7x inside and last. So you get x squared minus 14x plus 49. That is your answer. Now, I want to mention this because actually this is the last day that we're going to be doing just multiplying and adding. Okay, you're going to start with parentheses, and your final answer has no parentheses. That's important. So all these problems that we're doing, you're starting with parentheses, right? We have x minus 7 quantity squared, and x minus 7 times x plus 7, and x minus 7 plus something blah blah, or minus something blah blah, right? You're always starting with parentheses, and your final answer is no parentheses. The key word here, guys, everything is going to say simplify. Okay, it's all going to say simplify. And we're going to do something tomorrow called, or the next lesson called factoring, but it's all going to say simplify, and simplify means no parentheses. Okay? So that's just kind of really important. That's the thing you're going to see. But today what I wanted to, again, go over was you have special cases, which is, we got a lot of stuff here, which is, you know, x plus 3 times x minus 3. That's a difference of 2 squares. We call it that. We'll get to that more later, but that means it's, again, the same, and these are opposite. So it's x squared minus 9. That's our answer. And x minus 3 squared, which means x squared, you actually write it twice. X squared minus 3x plus 9. So x squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, so that's pretty much what today is. I hope you learned something about that. I hope you remember these rules because they are super important, math fans. All right, have a good day. Bye-bye.